Welcome back to the Range Minded Podcast. In this episode, we're going to jump into a story that has been all over the place. YouTube, the internet news, whatever, TV news, it's everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. We're going to jump into the story. We're going to peel back the layers, and we're going to examine exactly what went on. And then I'm going to put my take on it and see if you agree with me. We're going to talk about the Daniel Penny case. So I hope you enjoy this episode of the Range Minded Podcast, episode 262, A Penny Saved is Freedom Earned. I hope you enjoy this episode. All right, just like we talked about in the intro, we're going to talk about the Daniel Penny and the Jordan Neely case. If you haven't heard of this case, I don't know where you have been. It has been everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Yes, I know some of you are like, Steve, you are absolutely late to the party, and you're right. It's because I wanted to learn a little bit more about what happened before I gave my take on it. Now, as it stands, I'm recording this on the 8th of December. Penny is supposed to go back to trial tomorrow, where the juries are supposed to decide if they're going to convict him for the next charge. Now, there was a deadlock jury. This is just go straight up first. Deadlock jury, they couldn't convict him of I think it was second-degree murder. Since they were deadlocked, the judge said, all right, that is off the table. But he made them go back to deliberate on involuntary manslaughter, I think is what it was. So he still may go to jail. I don't know what the implications, easy for you to say, are going to be for, if he gets convicted of the second charge, which is a lesser charge. Now, that being said, he still is going to face civil trials. Jordan Neely's family, who is the victim in this case, or the perpetrator, I'll let you decide when we get into the story. But the Jordan Neely side of the family, they've already said they're going to take him to court on the civil side. This case, this story, this incident, this matter of 6 minutes has so much to shape and to talk about your rights to defend yourself and defend others. It's, in my opinion, it is very important to examine and to figure out exactly, what went down. So let's jump into it. So the first thing we really need to look at is, who is Daniel Penny? Is he just some dude? Who the hell was he? So Daniel Penny is a 24-year-old, at least at the time, 24-year-old Marine, former Marine. He served his time, served honorably, living in New York. He, I guess, goes to some kind of a school or something, and he jumps on the subway to go to his next destination, the gym. That's what it was. He was getting ready to go to the gym to work out. He gets on the train, and this dude gets on, who's Jordan Neely, gets on the train and starts talking crazy. I don't care what happens. I'm hungry. I'm homeless, and I'm not scared to hurt Bunny. I'm not scared to go to jail. Something to that effect. That's just paraphrasing. And we're gonna watch some videos and stuff so you can get a better idea of what actually happened in body cam footage, and we're actually gonna look at an initial interview between Daniel Penny and the police. So I don't get anything wrong. I want you to have the facts so you can make a determination. Now, so he gets on the train. Jordan Neely's acting up, and nobody does anything, right? This is a train car full of people. I imagine this stuff happens somewhat frequently on the trains of New York. I've never been to New York. I have no desire to go on a subway. I even have a hard time going to Subway sandwiches, let alone getting on a subway in New York City.
Huh?
So Daniel Penny, according to his words in the interrogation footage, or questioning footage, hands the person next to him his phone and stuff, says, here, hang on to this, and he stands up against the guy. There was no fist fights. There was no altercations. Apparently, Neely walked past him enough where Penny could get behind him, and he puts him in something, I guess you could call it a rear naked choke. It's not, the media keeps calling it a choke hold. Like, you think of, a strangulation. The dude just grabbed him and wringed his neck. No, that's not exactly what happened. It's something more like a carotid restraint, or I think it's called a blood, what do they call it? A blood choke or something like that. Basically, it's restricting blood flow to the brain, not restricting airflow. Now, going through the pass out phases that I recently went through, I can kind of imagine that decreasing blood flow to the brain. I passed out super fast. Now, I wasn't put in any kind of restraint like that. I have done jujitsu, and it's very easy to get locked, just black out when that happens. But you're not restricting the airway, right? It just kind of shuts down the blood flow for a minute, a few seconds, and you're passed out. You're not dead. You're passed out. And according to in the investigation, again, which we're going to watch. I gotta work on my speech here. He says, yeah, I learned some jujitsu in the Marine Corps. And this is how we did it, and I went to my training. Now, this is key. I want you to make a mental note of this, okay? He said, I learned this in the Marine Corps, so I did what I was trained to do. That's important part of the story that we're going to be telling tonight, okay? So it's somewhere around 6 minutes. And he didn't apply that hold the entire 6 minutes. First, it was just kind of locked up just to keep him from moving around. According to Penny, a couple other dudes on the train held onto his arms. They were on the floor. Penny had wrapped his, applied the submission or whatever you want to call it. Wrapped his hooks around, put his feet around the guy. So he wasn't really able to move too much, but his arms were still flailing. So 2 other men on the train helped subdue Neely's arms. Now, from the videos I saw, which I'm going to share with you in a moment, the dude was moving around that whole time up until the last few minutes before the cops show up. It looked like to me there was a roll would have been their left, and maybe something happened in that restraint to where maybe he collapsed the larynx or something. I don't know. I wasn't there. You weren't there. Fox News wasn't there. So let's just see what this body cam footage has to say. All right, let's watch this. Here we go. Now, let me straight up. I tried to find the actual footage of what was going on, but I could not find body cam footage without some sort of organization putting their watermark on it. So in this case, I'm going to give props to the FP. That's the only information I could find. Both the initial investigation questioning with Penny at the police station, and these body cam and cell phone footages. So we'll go with that.
This video was recorded in the Broadway Lafayette subway station in Manhattan last May 1st at 2:24 p.m. The woman filming, Yvette Rosario, has just witnessed a struggle in her subway car. The man in the white t-shirt being held on the floor is Jordan Neely. He is 30 years old, homeless, and diagnosed with schizophrenia. He boarded the train at the previous stop. Witnesses say Neely entered the car and immediately began threatening passengers, saying he was, quote, ready to die and would kill him. Daniel Penny, a 24-year-old student and former Marine from Long Island, took Neely to the ground and put him in a chokehold.
Okay, I want you to look at this. Look, obviously the restraint wasn't too tight. Otherwise, Neely wouldn't be
He's the blonde guy
moving
there.
his arms around, right? So here we go. He's still moving his arms. He's still resisting. I don't know if he's trying to tap the dude that was holding on to his arm or not, but let's keep going.
Restraining Neely. These 6 minutes will change everything for both men. Neely will be rushed to the hospital and declared dead. Penny will go to a police precinct where his statement will kick off a legal case that's ongoing right now in Manhattan. It's one that could land him in prison for 15 years. This case divided America almost immediately. On one side, those who say Penny is a racially motivated murderer, a vigilante who thought he could put his hands on a poor black man because he was poor and black. On the other, those who believe Penny is a hero who protected his fellow riders in the face of soaring violent crime and inaction from government.
All right, let's jump ahead a little bit. So this next little bit is going to be body cam footage from several perspectives.
Arriving at the scene.
This is body cam footage.
Hi, we need an ambulance missing cop. I mean, we just need a cop at Broadway, that's here, street. Someone's attacking here at the train.
This is inside the train station?
Yes.
Okay, Broadway, Lafayette, uptown, downtown platform.
Uptown, uptown.
Okay, and this is the F, right?
Yeah.
Male or female being attacked?
I don't know. He trying to attack everybody.
Oh, a guy's trying to do it. Okay, give me further description. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Indian?
He's black.
What color shirt?
They're holding them down. They're holding him down right now.
How many people?
There's just two. There's one man holding white man holding it down. Holds the homeless guy down.
Okay. Any weapons? Anybody injured at this time?
No, nobody.
Okay, they're coming as we speak.
Really?
You
got anything on?
That?
You got anything on?
I don't know, I just
You want me?
I just put him out.
No. You saying you just put him up? Oh. You get a bus.
In this moment, before Neely's body was taken from the train, before Penny went to the police station, the story had effectively been written. Archetypes had already been cast. In the following days, a New York Times opinion headline read, quote, "Making people uncomfortable can now get you killed." On MSNBC, Joy Reid said, "The one person who was in danger obviously was Jordan Neely." Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez claimed, long before Penny was even arrested, that Neely had been, quote, "murdered." Representative Jamal Bowman went even further, calling Neely's death an execution. But then there is the body camera footage. The relief that witnesses, fellow passengers, told police they felt when Penny took charge.
You want to know what happened?
I can tell you what happened.
Yeah, what happened?
He was there, right? I was in before him.
So we're not going to get into all this witness statements and such, but pretty much everyone that the police interviewed, at least it was included in this video, substantiated the story of Penny, right? Everybody felt that he saved them and did what any hero would do. They lauded him as a hero for keeping those on the train safe. As you heard, the gal from the FP, there's a lot of racial dynamic being thrown into this case, saying, well, because he was black is because he was murdered. That's really disappointing, but I think it's important for us to understand that if we get into I'll wait on that. I don't want to opinionate myself just yet. Another thing that I think is important for us to understand was when the police showed up, they checked his pulse. He had a pulse. So I don't know exactly, according to the body cam footage, it was not very long from when Penny let him go that the police showed up inside the train car. And then it takes a second, right? They put their gloves on because they don't know what they're dealing with. Maybe they do. At this time, I don't think they know who Jordan Neely was. But just protocol, right? You put your gloves on and you start figuring out what's going down. They rendered aid to Neely when they got there. Unfortunately, to no avail. Maybe fortunately. I guess it depends on how you feel. I want to read some stuff here, though. I think, again, this is important for part of the story. So, Neely was 30 years old, and according to Daniel Penny, Daniel Penny's over 6 feet tall, and Neely was taller than him. Okay, I don't know how much taller. I don't know if he outweighed Penny in any way, but that has something to do with his story. Again, these are all key things that I'm going to bring up later. So, one thing to understand about Neely is he was he was known. He was a homeless man. He was known to a lot of the writers on the train. He impersonated Michael Jackson. He had a lot of issues in his life. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Again, he was homeless. He had a lot of background tragedies in his life that probably led to a lot of bad decisions. I wanted to bring this up too because I feel like this is important to understand. Now, Daniel Penny had no clue about the background of Neely. Zero. He didn't know who he was other than a madman on the train making threats that made people fear that there was going to be an issue. Okay? The thing is about Neely here, he had 42 prior arrests. There was an assault charge where he had struck a woman on the train, a 67-year-old woman, which resulted in serious injuries. Is all that I got here. There were many individuals that on the train. They get on the train. They don't have any money. They have any way to pay a fare, so they just jump the train, get on there without paying the fare. He did that apparently at least once, but I think it happened several times. I think that's among those 42 arrests. Disorderly conduct. He had some disorderly conduct and public nuisance charges, and drug possession. He was known to be on drugs. So there was a lot of issues on top or compounded on with his schizophrenia and maybe other psychological issues that I just don't know. Again, Daniel Penny had no clue about the precursors or who Neely was beforehand. Zero clue. So really, that plays no bearing, in my opinion, no bearing into the defense trial or his act of defense on the train, because he had no clue who he was. Now, that could be a detriment as well, because when you make decisions to save your life or to save others' lives and you choose to intervene, you don't know who that person is. You don't know their capabilities. You don't know what illnesses they may have. I mean, he may have HIV or something, and then when blood gets exchanged through violence, things get bad, right? Tuberculosis, all sorts of, tons of different things that could take effect. So I wanted you to hear that. Let's jump to, let's see, it takes me a second to get back to my videos. Let's jump to the the Penny, his questioning. So let me get this over here.
Daniel?
Yep.
I'm going to record this whole thing. I want you to listen to it.
I'm Detective Medina. I actually located Fifth Precinct. This is where you're at right now.
Cool.
How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Very good. Very good. I'm doing well.
Yeah.
You served in the Marine Corps, Daniel?
I did, yes.
I served in the Marine Corps.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So again, this footage came from the
There
FP.
you go. Nice, man.
What you doing? What was your enlistment?
I was in 0351.
I was an 0331.
Oh, cool. We should get your weapons platoon. Nice, man.
I was not military, so I don't know what that stuff is.
It's like another language.
3rd Battalion, 6th Marines.
Okay, there you go. 36.
96 to 2000.
Nice, man.
Two med floats. Did my thing, and then I ended up here. Now I got.
So there's something happening here. They're building rapport with Penny. They're developing a relationship to let him speak freely. This is it's a tactic that they use when questioning.
Sure.
Thank you for sticking around.
Yeah.
And being cooperative.
Absolutely.
And hoorah for serving in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we speak to you about today, we have to read you your rights.
Sure. Absolutely.
So I'm going to read you your rights. After each question, I'm going to say, do you understand? Say yes or no in a loud, clear voice. You got to say yes or no. You can't just nod your head. I got to hear it, okay?
Okay.
You have the right to remain silent and refuse to answer questions. Do you understand?
I understand.
Anything you do say may be used against you in a court of law. Do you understand?
I understand.
You have the right to consult an attorney before speaking to the police and to have an attorney present during any questioning, now or in the future. Do you understand?
I understand.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you without cost. Do you understand?
I understand.
If you do not have an attorney available, you have the right to remain silent until you've had an opportunity to consult with one. Do you understand?
I understand.
Now that I've advised you of your rights, are you willing to answer questions?
Yes.
Okay. So, kind of run with me and Detective Medina, the course of your day, where you're coming from, where you're going, and then what led up to, the incident on the train.
Absolutely. So I have class down in Brooklyn. I take the F down to J Street Metro Tech. My class is at 12. So once the class finished up, I was going straight to the gym. I go to the gym in Lifetime on 23rd Street. So I get off. I take the F straight from school to the gym. Was on there. I forget what stop it was at, but some guy came in. He's like, whipped his jacket off, and he's like, "I'm gonna kill everybody. I can go to prison forever. I don't care. I don't do this." At that point, I looked to the person next to me like, "Hey, just hang on to this phone for me." I had my headphones in, took it off, and just kind of like grabbed him from behind because he came in, just to because he was acting like a lunatic, like a crazy person. So, and he was rolling around the floor, and at that point the train stopped. I was like, "Someone call the cops," and he's still like rolling around, still going crazy. Had two other guys kind of help me, just kind of keep him from going nuts, and yeah, that's when you guys came.
Okay. Did he seem like he was on something? Did he seem
Absolutely.
intoxicated, high?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that K2 that they're smoking, pushing people in front. Like these people are going crazy. So it was
So he seemed off his lid, basically.
a little bit, yeah.
Now explain the interaction you had with him.
So I came up. He had his back turned to me, and I just kind of got him in a hold, got him to the ground. He was still like squirming around and still, going crazy. And I turned to a guy. I'm like, hey, call the cops, because the train arrived in Broadway.
Yeah.
And then waited for you guys.
Okay.
Dan, you said Danny, right?
Yes, correct.
Do you mind showing me?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so you're standing behind me,
Yeah.
and I kind of came like this.
Okay. Did you apply pressure, Daniel?
No, I wasn't. I just wanted to keep him from getting to people.
Did you put your hooks in?
Yeah, wrap my legs.
Did you learn the jiu-jitsu from the Marine Corps?
I did, yes.
You learned how to grapple in the Marine Corps. What belt level you made it to?
Green.
Green belt?
Yeah.
Good. All right.
It was alright. I was a little bit, yeah, I should have went higher.
Should have applied yourself more, huh?
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, right?
So he says, if I don't get this, I'm gonna kill everyone. Something
Going
to
to
that.
jail forever.
Yeah.
I'm willing to.
Is it at that point that's when you get up and
Yes.
decide to put him in the hold?
I
Because it looks
just-
like a sleeper hold to me, like
Right,
something
yeah.
similar to like.
I'm not trying to
No.
kill the guy.
Right.
I'm just trying to de-escalate the situation, right?
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Daniel, not a speak hold, but would you say what you put him in, because I do take Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu myself, I've been taking it for many years, would you say that was considered a rear naked choke?
I mean, I don't train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I'm not.
But in the Marine Corps, is that considered a rear naked choke?
Not. I don't know what you would call that. No, I'm not sure.
Because I noticed that you put it around my neck and then you closed from behind.
I would have had it on the back of his head. I didn't press forward.
You didn't press forward.
I noticed when you were doing it to him too, you went to go put your legs around him.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, I held my legs so because if you're flopping around and stuff, you can easily get out of that if you don't lock it.
You did that to control him in place.
That's correct.
Explain to me what made you want to get involved? What made you?
Well, I mean, he's threatening people,
Mhm.
and I'm not confrontational. I'm not a confrontational guy. In the Marine Corps, I felt the need to step in.
Yeah.
There's women, children on the train. I'm sure there's ladies there that will vouch for me, and
He felt like he was threatening other people. He felt like.
oh, he was
Did
absolutely
you feel like someone's life was in danger?
100%.
Okay. Did anybody else hold him down?
Yeah, there was two other guys that were helping. As soon as those guys came in and were holding his arms, then I kind of let up.
You let him go.
That's correct.
And when you let him go, what happened? What do you remember?
It was just,
Was he still moving? Was he still saying anything?
yeah, he was moving a bit, and I was worried that he would go again. So I was telling those guys hey, make sure you keep hanging on to him.
So the three of you holding him down, or just the two other gentlemen?
Just the two other guys were hanging on to him.
And how long did they hold him down? They were holding him down by the arms?
Yeah, by the arms.
How long were they holding him down before the cops got there?
Like I said, man, it's you're exerting energy at
The
that point.
adrenaline is going, right?
Right.
And then it's like fight or flight, everything's going,
That's correct.
You lose track of time.
Yeah.
I understand.
Mm.
At any given time, did you reapply any kind of holds on him once you let him go, or
No,
that was it?
no,
You got
that was it.
And what do you remember from there? Explain to me now.
Just the cops came and that was it. I got him.
Okay. When the cops came, what was he doing?
He was just on the ground.
Was he saying anything? Was he? No.
I'm trying to all these people are filming and shit and they're I don't know.
Okay. Anything else you remember, Daniel, from this interaction? Anything else that was said? Anybody else say anything to you about
I mean,
what happened?
everyone on the train was. I asked a few people hey, stick around when the cops come, just so, and they were yeah, well, and the people were thanking me and stuff because I wasn't I'm not trying to. Like I said, I'm not a confrontational guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not out here trying to attack people. It's not me, not how I was trained.
Yeah.
I just felt the need that this guy was saying that he's gonna kill people, that he's prepared to go to jail for life. I hear that. I'm like.
But he was making enough of a scene that you noticed him, and then you probably would have noticed if he put his hands on someone.
But I didn't.
Okay, all right, that's fine. And then once he starts doing that, that's when you try to subdue him.
Yes, I wasn't trying to injure him.
Right.
I'm just trying to keep him from hurting anybody else. He's threatening people. That's what we learned in the Marine Corps. That's what you guys learn as police officers. It's the same thing if you're off duty. You're gonna intervene in a situation where it's.
So that in no way was the complete questioning of him by detectives, but I think it gives us a pretty good idea of what actually, what they were trying to dig at. I want to jump in here before we move to something, a little bit farther in the episode, and I want to talk about just this questioning portion because I feel like, let me wait. Let's wait till I actually get. I know I'm everywhere. You just got to deal with me, all right? So this incident took place on, was it May 1st, I think? Yep, May 1st of last year, 2023. So it's been this long, from, over a year, that this trial was ready to actually take place. So that's a considerable amount of time, if I can say so myself. In that period of time, initially a lot of coverage on it, because he was black and the victim was black and Penny was white. I should say Neely was black, Penny was white. I don't think necessarily was a victim, as you might put it. Racial outrage. And unfortunately, the media jumps on the bandwagon and tries to create this into something much bigger than it really was. Seems like the left side of the media always wants to turn in, if a black man dies at the hands of a white man, they want to immediately push racism, immediately, without even presenting the facts. That's something I really get frustrated. Like, Joy Reid mentioned that the only person in danger was Neely because he was black.
Shut up, bitch!
Well, there were black people on the train. It wasn't a train full of white supremacists. I didn't show all the body cam footage of the questioning of the other people on the train, but it honestly looked like Penny was the only white dude on the train. The two dudes that helped him hold down Jordan Neely were black. I got that part wrong. One of them was black. The other one looked to be white, or at least a lot more fair skin. So I corrected it. The folks that the cops interrogated, questioned at the scene, they were minorities. So if you have to defend yourself, everything is going to be scrutinized by the public and by the law. Scrutinized. Now, I'm not saying, well, what were your thoughts during that day? I mean, everything. Your social media, your stuff at home, everything is going to be looked at to paint a picture on both sides of the argument. The defense is going to use it to paint a picture of you being a normal person, just doing something that a reasonable person would do. Where the prosecution is going to paint the opposite side of the picture to show, hey, the decisions this individual made throughout their life proves that they are anti-minority. They're racist. They hate a certain group of people. They planned this, right? So you need to understand that you have to live your life in a certain way. If you plan to carry life-saving tools, if you're willing to step in to stop a situation from happening, like Daniel Penny did in this case, your life is going to be put into an electron microscope, and every participle of it is going to come up in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not come up in trial, but they're going to dig as deep as they can and create their narrative. Now, I know a lot of folks, I know people that I've taught in classes, they figure, well, I'm a good guy with a gun. I've worked this hard to get my concealed carry permit. I'm obviously the good guy in this situation. But you need to understand that the laws of justice and mercy, one of them has to be satisfied. And sometimes, in order to meet the satisfaction of justice or mercy, the narrative that's created may not be reality, but one side or the other was able to present their case better and more convincing. That's the sad reality of the judicial system. Yes, good people save lives and rescue people on a daily. That happens all the time, and a lot of times those cases come out clear. But if you remember when I had Steve Yerger on a few episodes ago, he deals with this a lot. He's an expert witness in self-defense cases. We've had a lot of conversations about things. It's unfortunate the stuff that the prosecution side of even a self-defense case, the measures and the extent that they go to try and establish and present a case that's convincing to a jury. There's a lot of things, unfortunate things that happen, and a lot of I can't think of the word. A lot of liberties taken in creating that narrative. So it's easy to say that this subway thing with Penny and Neely created a racial spark, even after the verdict the other day. Neely's parents not parents, because his mom unfortunately was murdered or something, and it's a terrible background, right? It's sad. But your history doesn't make you who you are. You still have decisions, right? You still have to make those conscious decisions. It's sparked racial outrage. The jury was deadlocked. Judge said, all right, murder's off the table. Because of that, you have a lot of groups coming out saying, hey, no justice, no peace. Right? We've heard that before. It doesn't matter, because the narrative by the media, by the prosecution, like all this is created. And even if you're justified, if you did the right thing, you're still going to get painted as a monster. So like I said earlier, Penny was charged with second-degree manslaughter, which would have been a 15-year sentence. That's rough, right? That's rough for a dude that just felt like he was doing the right thing. You think about how much 15 years will change your life. If even you have small children, you got a 5-year-old. Well, if you spend 15 years in prison, pretty simple Common Core math will pop up saying that kid will be 20. Right? There's a lot of things that change over those few years. Plus, I don't think being in prison is a cakewalk. Especially he'd probably go to Rikers or some of these other ones in New York that are pretty rough. It's not a simple thing. I think Penny's defense team, I think they did a pretty good job as far as presenting their case. Looking at the body cam footage and some of that other video stuff that we looked at earlier, I think that's why I wanted to. I didn't want to just spew out my opinion on this. I wanted you to see the footage. There's plenty of other footage out there that you can learn. In fact, look at those videos that I used. Those are still available online. You can look at them. Maybe I'll try and link them to what I'm doing here if it lets me. It shows you the facts. And that's what we need. We don't need opinion from the news. You don't want my opinion on this situation. We need the facts. What happened? When did it happen? Who did it? And what was the aftermath? Right? All these things are important for us to understand. Okay, now let's get back to where what I think we can learn from this case. Because there's a lot. There's a lot to understand, a lot to digest, and a lot of things that I think as concealed carry holders, as people that feel like you're ready and eager to defend your life, the life of your loved ones or those around you, there's important things that we can learn from this case. Just kind of like the Rittenhouse case almost. That one's a little bit different. All right, number one thing we can learn from this case is situational awareness, right? Dude pulls into or walks onto the train, acting belligerent, being crazy, saying things that are super scary. Sure, there are people, because it's a crowded train with a bunch of different kind of people that have different life experiences. There are going to be people that are going to be worried, going to be uncomfortable, and hopefully there's going to be people that are like, I've seen this before. Let's take care of business. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to understand. Just like in any your own personal self-defense situation, is your situational awareness, knowing who and what and where around you. Okay, always being. We talk about Cooper's color codes many, many times. In fact, I did. I think it's a tactical minute or something. I've done some videos on the Cooper's color codes. You can check those out. Being in condition yellow. So when the conditions progress from orange to red, right? Paying attention, not being in white. He said in his the investigation interview there with the detectives that he had his headphones in, I would say that would be conditional white. But the noise was so much that he removed his headphones and paid attention to the situation. That's all right. Next, he took action, right? Went from yellow to orange to red right away. And in just a few moments. And then he took the action that he felt he was justified, okay, in doing. Now, I don't know if or when or what, if you are ever in a self-defense situation, I don't know what those circumstances are going to be. That happens when it happens. It's a moment in time that something takes place. And I promise you, you'll never prepare for that exact scenario. If you do, you should buy a lotto ticket because that'd be amazing. The exact circumstances depend on when it happens. Are you willing to take action? Are you willing to do whatever it takes? Now, I know a lot of you that conceal carry are like, yeah, absolutely. I'll do what it takes. I'm a dude or I'm a gal that's alpha or sheepdog, right? A lot of us feel that way until the situation arises. But what we're not thinking about is the aftermath. This is important. I hope you guys have really paid attention. In fact, on X a couple of weeks ago, we did a space on specifically this case. And how it applies to daily carry. The most important weapon that we use, that we carry, is our brain. We have to have good decision-making skills. But in order to have good decision-making skills, we have to have the information already downloaded to assess what we're going to do and make that plan quicker. Action is always faster than reaction. If we can create a game plan, we already have that action ready to go. It's downloaded. We just have to hit play. The next thing, sure, he puts him in the restraint, holds him for quite a while, about 6 minutes or so is what we can tell. We can see in those body cam videos that I showed that, yeah, he was still moving. He moved for quite a while. But again, he rolled in a funny way that I think that may have what happened, right? Penny said himself he didn't mean to kill anybody. The purpose wasn't to kill anybody. It was just to restrain until the police showed up. He didn't mean to. It was an accident, according to Penny. But nonetheless, Mr. Neely passed away. Now, I don't know what was in his systems. I didn't pull up his... in fact, I doubt, because I'm trying to look for a lot of information, I doubt I'll be able to find the toxicology in his autopsy. Maybe I can. I don't know. I didn't bother looking at it, honestly. But he was known once they found out who he was. Again, 42 arrests. Many of them drug charges. Some violence arrest in there too. They knew who he was. He had a rap sheet. Does that justify taking a life? Not necessarily. But it definitely creates a narrative on the defensive side, right? To show that this man had a history of causing issues, including violence on trains before. Now, again, Daniel had no clue. Mr. Penny had no clue about his background of Jordan Neely, zero. He just knew and felt like, I got to take action before this guy hurts somebody. Some of those interviews that we didn't play on the body cam footage, like that, those women were seriously worried that something was going to happen. In fact, in court, those women testified saying, yeah, I was worried that if Daniel Penny didn't take action, or if somebody wouldn't have stood up, I guess is a better way to say it, that they feared that somebody was going to get hurt on the train. Yes, that helped Daniel's case. But you need to understand, again, from May 1st of 2023 to trial in, I think it started in November, almost a year and 3/4, year and a half. That's a long time. You can't travel. You got to keep your mouth shut. You can't talk the story because it could jeopardize your defense case. I mean, yeah, Neely's family lost a child, but I would be willing to say that Daniel Penny's family almost lost a child. because of what he felt was a righteous act on the train. So as we talk about this, I hope you're starting to think and put in perspective the reality of acting in a situation. Now, could people have left the train? You could argue maybe or no. I don't think you could say yes or no because I don't know how many stops were between the incidents. I don't know. Maybe they could have gone to another car. Yeah, that's possible. They could have left. But it could also be argued that Neely could have just moved to the next car. So there's probably not a lot of places to escape to. Well, did he have a weapon? No. Apparently they didn't find any kind of weapons on him. But does that matter? I don't know. Does it? Look, I know some people that are very capable with their hands. Very capable. I have a friend that has fought all over the world at a national level, all over the world. I would never mess with that guy because he could probably kill me in one punch. We don't know what people are capable of. We have no idea. So that's the other thing you got to take into account. Just like Penny had no clue about Neely's background, arrests, diseases, whatever, toxicology, was he on something? Nobody knows. Penny didn't know that. But again, a year and a half before a heavy weight was lifted off, but there's still more weight left to remove or get convicted of the lesser charge. Okay, next thing I want to talk about was him in the interrogation room with the police. I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice. I am not giving any of you guys legal advice. But what I can say is, let me put it this way. Maybe you should get some good training on how to respond to police officers in a situation like this. What I might do is not say anything at all. I would contact my attorney and go from there. That might be something that I would do. Now, notice that when he read him his rights, the Miranda rights, right? You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, one will be provided to you. You have the right to not answer any questions until visiting an attorney and whatever, right? Anything you say can and will be used against you. That's in the Miranda rights. Can and will be used against you. I know a lot of us feel like, oh, the cops are our friends. And a lot of good dudes. Yeah, there's some bad apples in the bunch once in a while. They're good dudes, but they're trying to figure out what the hell happened on the train car in this situation, right? Their job is to be as biased as possible. Now, there's other things that influence that biasy. I don't know what those influences may be. They see a lot of shit in New York every day. Literally. So yeah, they probably have some sort of a bias when doing these questions. Please, again, what I would do is I'd probably contact an attorney before I answer any questions. What you do is what you do. I'm not carrying the torch for you. I'm not providing any kind of legal suggestions. Now, why would I say that? Because a lot of times we feel like growing up in the free America, we say, yeah, the cops are good. They're our friends. They're doing their job to keep people safe. Why would I suggest not saying anything to the police? I already told you. Anything you say can and will be held against you. Now, the reason is that's on record. That is recorded. Now, say at the stand, he might forget what he told the cops. And then suddenly they're like, well, you said this, but now on the stand you said this, right? There's a lot of things that can cause problems. So exercise your right to remain silent would be my suggestion. That's probably what I would do. Now, the next implication. Hold on, I gotta have another drink. Is the financial burden. That's the next big thing, is the financial issue here. A defense case is not cheap. Good attorneys don't just work for free. And you probably don't want, you may not want, again, this is not legal advice. I don't know, maybe you do. I don't know if you want a public defender. It's up to you. I'm sure there's some amazing ones out there. But it doesn't matter. It still costs you money. You're out of work. You're out of fees and other places. Like, it's not free. So there's other things you got to think about. A year and a half of this man's life, Penny's life, is gone. Yeah, I get it. Jordan Neely is done. Like, he died. He doesn't get a second chance. Sure, I understand that. But we're not talking about you being a criminal on a train. We're talking about you being a defender in a situation. That costs money, unfortunately. Now you can just go your route and say, I'll just pay for this myself. There's legal, prepaid legal stuff out there, which I would recommend you researching and finding out which one is best for you. I'm not going to endorse one over any others. I would suggest do your research and see what fits your needs the best. There's several companies out there that can do that. It's not insurance. Don't let them sell you on, it's an insurance policy. No, it's prepaid legal is what it is. It's not an insurance policy. I think they say that because it kind of acts as insurance in case you spend all your money bailing out or whatever. This is different. Do your research on what would be best for you when it comes to that, is my suggestion. But then there's family time that you'll never get back. There's tons of stress that you're never going to get back. There is public media execution in my was what I would call it. The trial by the public is. You tell me Daniel Penny can walk down the street anywhere without getting harassed? Probably not. Rittenhouse is still, just getting eviscerated in public whenever he shows up somewhere. You look at, was it George Zimmerman? Is that his name? No relation, by the way. In Florida, with the Skittle kid. I can't remember that kid's name. It's not fair. That kid died. I shouldn't. I just forgot his name. I don't remember what his name was. Needless to say, is public opinion is going to excoriate you. Now, you might think because, this, Daniel Penny and Rittenhouse, these things only happen once in a while. That's not true. Self-defense situations happen a lot every day. We've talked about the defensive gun uses. Before the CDC removed that information off their website, it was thousands of times a day a firearm was used in defense. Now, that didn't mean the trigger was pulled and the bullet came out. That just meant it could have been, as most of them were, I believe, just say, hey, I have a gun, leave me alone, and that stopped the situation. Needless to say, thousands of times a day they were used in defense of a life. That was just guns. Okay? People have to defend themselves all the time. It's just once in a while, a high-profile case pops up, especially if there's some kind of racial motivation there. That's when things go berserk. I guess what it boils down to is this. Your life is valuable. Every life is valuable. I mean, I believe in God. I believe we're all children of God. I think God loves all of his children. I don't think he likes some of the decisions that his children make once in a while. Sometimes those choices lead to ending a life. Whether that be in offense, a murder or whatever, or drunk driving or something like that. And sometimes that's in defense. Sometimes these things happen. It's not outside the realm of possibilities that you might have to make a choice like that, of defending your family or yourself or somebody else. It's not impossible. It's not terribly likely, but it's not impossible. I want you to look deeply at this Daniel Penny case and make an assessment to your carry routine, your lifestyle, your mindset, especially, most of all, your mindset. Fill it with information to where you can make good, conscious decisions. I'm really struggling speaking tonight. I'm sorry, guys. It's like 9 o'clock right now, p.m. You got to make wise choices. But you have to You have to fill with your mind and you have to get good training. I can't even spit it out for some damn reason. You got to get solid training to make these good decisions. And then you got to understand that each one of those decisions in saving a life have consequences. All of them, they have consequences. I know, like I said, in classes I've taught before, people think, hey, I got my concealed carry permit. I'm the good guy. I'm the good guy. I don't have to worry about these things. Not necessarily. I hope so. If you're ever in a defensive case or a situation where you have to defend your life or your life of your child or something like that, that it goes swimmingly. But it won't. I'm sorry, it just won't. There's one more component to this that I want to share that I just thought of. And I've had this conversation with some other people before. I have never taken a life. I don't want to take a life. Even in defense, I don't want to. Does that mean I won't? No. If I have to, I believe I will. But I don't want to. And I've never met anybody that's like, yeah, I can't wait to shoot somebody in self-defense. I've never met that person, ever. Along with the financial, the legal, and the time you never get back, there's a serious, I don't want to call it a reward, but something that you get when doing any kind of situation, high stress situation especially, and that's the psychological side. And that's not just Daniel Penny, but the psychological repercussions is everybody inside that train car. And honestly, a lot of folks that watch the media. Because a lot of folks now are going to say, man, it's not worth me standing up. Let that lady get punched on the train. I don't want to deal with it. There's a lot of societal issues there, right? We can talk about it in a second too. But there's a psychological repercussion, especially when it comes to taking a life. We're not meant to just murder people, to kill people. I shouldn't say murder. Kill people in defense or offense. There's a psychological barrier there on purpose. Read On Killing by Dave Grossman. If we have to cross the line and take a life, not including any of the legal stuff, financial stuff, there's this psychological burden that you have to carry. That one might be the most serious. That burden is going to be with you forever. And I don't know how to tell you how to deal with something like that. I hope, like I say, I hope I never have to deal with something like that. A friend told a story. Yeah, I guess if I make it vague enough, it'll be fine. A friend told a story of somebody he knew that got into an altercation in their home. And because of this altercation, somebody died. And not by his hands, by somebody else. He was, I would say, critically wounded. He was extremely wounded that made him have to go to the hospital. But a loved one lost their life inside their home. Now, my friend talked to him and said, hey, you probably should you probably need to see a counselor. And he's like, no, I got this, bro. I'm a tough man. Oh. He made it a couple nights in the home where this loved one had passed away. And that weight was so heavy that he couldn't live there anymore. There's that burden as well, which needs to be weighed among the others. What I'm boiling this down to is carrying life-saving tools, defensive life-saving tools, carries a huge amount of responsibility. Huge. Now, I understand a lot of you made that commitment already, but I don't know how many of you have actually made that decision. You may have made this spur-up decision right after you got concealed weapons permit. I'm going to carry every day, and if something happens, it happens. But have you actually gone through all those repercussions, especially the psychological side of it? Yeah, trial, jail time, that's horrible. But have you really, really thought about it? I'm not discouraging you from carrying. I'm not saying don't do it. I am a 2A absolutist, and I believe that was given to us by God, but written into the Constitution to guarantee our right for self-preservation, self-protection against all enemies. But it doesn't exclude the fact that there are repercussions when it comes to saving a life by taking a life. And I think Daniel Penny understands that. I think Kyle Rittenhouse understands that. I think tens of thousands of Americans understand that. It's a big deal. And I don't know if Americans that conceal carry, I know there's a segment that have. I've met them. You've just met one, me, that really dive into that and think, man, that's heavy. Please, if you plan on carrying a life-saving tool, get good training. Not great training, not good training. Get great training. Now, I'm not talking just how to move and shoot, how to holster, unholster, reload a mag on the run. Yeah, that's important. Shot accuracy is proficiency. Yeah, that's important. But those decision-making skills are far more important. Learning how to de-escalate, learning how to evade or escape, cover, concealment, learning how not to get involved is more important. That is the last resort. Using deadly force is the last ditch effort resort. But I think a lot of folks don't look at it that way. That's where I end. That's where I stand. It's kind of a heavy episode. I know. It was tough. Maybe it wasn't. But what I want you guys to know is I love each and every one of you. Not in a weird, way, but as a brotherly love. I love every one of you. If you want to help support the show, which would be fantastic, there's lots of ways that you can do that. The simplest and the freest is just liking, subscribing, and sharing this episode with somebody that you know. The second way is if you want to financially support the show, which would be greatly appreciated, you can jump to the website, rangemindedpodcast.com, and you can buy a patch. I think I have my link to my Patreon there. That would be great. Honestly, you could jump to my linktree. I haven't posted that in a while. I probably should be doing that. There you can find in fact, I'll do it in this episode. I'll publish my linktree down there below, and it jumps to the Patreon, it jumps to the website, all sorts of places. It'd be greatly appreciated. Also, what I want you to do, and this is not just a catchphrase, is I want you to take somebody shooting. I don't just say that in jest. It's real. We need to grow the 2A family. We need to grow that community even bigger because it's under constant attack. Well, sometime in a later episode, we'll talk about the United Healthcare guy assassination. And suppressors are already under attack because of that assassination. We don't even know the damn details, and the anti-gun people are like, they're going crazy. We need to grow our 2A community. It is a family, and it is a wonderful family to be a part of. Are there a-holes in the family? Yep, absolutely. Just like there's a-holes in your family. Just think about Thanksgiving and Christmas when they all come together and you realize, man, that one uncle is just a douche. That happens. Maybe your uncle's awesome. I don't know. You know what I mean. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And hey, don't forget, you got to take somebody shooting.